This week, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a sequel so anticipated that its big star Jim Carrey is considering retiring from acting.
Also, Ambulance, where Jake Gyllenhaal stars as an ambulance, I think. Sorry, no, Jake is not the ambulance. Apparently Hollywood can't picture him as a hot, young, sexy ambulance. Creativity is dead. It's Monday Movie Nonsense.
Welcome to Monday Movie Nonsense, happening every Monday at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, whether you like it or not, whether you need it or not, we're coming, we're doing a show, okay?
Kieran Lagabiro, Adam.
We got Kieran Lagabiro to you, Paul. If you've seen our videos, attended our live shows, or enjoyed many of our running jokes like that one, or enjoyed us at the Movie Trivia Schmodown, sometimes we go get sunburns for the Movie Trivia Schmodown, so it's very exciting. That all makes sense in about a month. Then you know, we're all about the nonsense. And this show will be new and different nonsense every week, depending upon what movies we see. When I say new and different, a lot of the drops are going to be the same. We like a good running joke here. But depending upon the movies we see, the ones that are coming out, whatever inspires us, we talk about movies. Paul and I just talk about movies all the time, and we're like, let's just turn a camera on and let's talk about movies. And of course, nonsense will ensue as well. But if you're new to the show, if you're like, well, I did a search term, I did a search for Dy Sal, and I found this, and here you are. Well, then go to Twitter, please, and subscribe to @themovieguys, or go to themovieguys. Search anywhere. You can even get really excited before I prompt you to go search the internet.
Where can we search, Adam?
Paul, you can search anywhere for the Movie Guys. You can search Yahoo. You can search Google. What else can you search? You can search, and we will come right up because we are the Movie Guys, and we are full of nonsense, and we love movies. So, yes, so here we are. Paul, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well. Listen, I'm excited because my name here is not incorrect. I'm in one of the movies that's released this week.
What?
Exciting.
Paul, yeah. Are you an ambulance?
No.
Do you play the ambulance?
I am in a movie called Aileen, and it played at Cannes last year. So I was in a movie that played at Cannes. That was a first for me. So that was pretty exciting.
That's amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this movie Aileen. Here's what it is. It is an unauthorized biopic of Celine Dion, to where they changed the character's name to Aileen Dieu. It's a French film from Valérie Lemercier, who is apparently like the Kristen Wiig of France. And she has made this movie about Celine Dion, but not about Celine Dion because it is unauthorized.
Okay.
And I don't know what they're going to do with the music. I don't know what they're going to do with
anything. And they changed her name to Alain Delon?
There is one point where she's wandering through Vegas, like Celine Dion, of course, got this residency in Vegas, and she runs across two Elvis impersonators who don't think she's Aileen Dieu, that she's an Aileen Dieu impersonator. I am one of those Elvis impersonators. So,
where's the clip? I need a clip.
Nope. That didn't make the trailer, as you can imagine.
No, it didn't. So far. Oh, that's awesome. What a great thing to have you as Elvis.
Yeah, I'll have a clip to share. But in the meantime, you can go and see it if you want. The reviews after Cannes were must be seen to be believed. Apparently, Valérie Lemercier is a comedian in France.
Okay.
And plays Aileen Dieu at every age of her life.
Oh, that's funny. So it's like it's a big joke. It's like a
kind of, yeah. But yeah, I'd be curious to see. She's got the older manager that Celine was, met at 12 and eventually married. So all that's in there. The performances at the, Grammys or whatever. I don't know if she's singing My Heart Will Go On or what she's doing.
Or if she, I mean,
Power of Love.
if this is the Leslie Nielsen of female, French female actors, that this could be really interesting. She plays her at every point in her life.
Yeah, and it's opening here in Burbank, so I'm shocked. I thought maybe I think it's French. It's, otherwise, except for my lines weren't, and I'm sure a lot of people in Vegas, the characters there won't be. So it'll be a mix of two different languages. And so I thought, maybe it'll open at like the Art House, but I think it's opening here at the Burbank 16, and I'm gonna go see what the hell hath wrought in Aileen. But I had a blast shooting. I went to Vegas, just before the lockdown.
Okay.
Shot for a day, yeah. So it was fun, and this has been wanting to come out for a while. I think it was supposed to come out in January, and I was excited to announce it. But this Friday, Aileen.
I mean, this premise sounds amazing. It's a comedy, unauthorized biography. I love all that.
I don't know.
Oh no, I think that sounds. I mean, it has potential to be really fun. Like just the idea of doing an unauthorized biography and having a comedian play Celine Dion. That's very funny, I think.
Well, it's rough because like right now they're making a biopic of Billy Joel, and he has not given consent, so there'll be none of his music in it. And I don't even know how you do that. I saw a documentary about the Beatles called "It Was 50 Years Ago Today" on the anniversary of Sgt. Pepper. None of the music was in it. Yeah, so it was like rough to watch. So I don't know, but I mean, it sounds like she's got a lot going on in this movie. Maybe that's enough, even if there's no Celine music, or maybe there is. Maybe they, the rights to her music don't fall on her, and it's through some catalog.
I mean, now I'm really fascinated.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm really fascinated because, like, if they had to make up their own songs that are basically like Weird Al versions, I mean, this movie could get really, really funny, I think.
Yeah, I will be in a scene, so I can't account for the rest of the movie, but enjoy that scene.
Can you do a French Elvis accent? Can you do your Elvis in a French accent? That sounds like a really hard one to do. You didn't have to on the set, right?
Thank you very much. No, I can't.
Say merci beaucoup as Elvis.
Merci beaucoup, man. Merci beaucoup. TCB, man. Taking care of business. I've got to get me a peanut butter and banana sandwich, man. That's right. It's hard to do.
But
so anyway, that's the big movie coming out. Also Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So anyway, well, let's go to yes, this is one, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's probably a decent review. Both movies.
Saw both movies.
That was a movie. The other one also a movie.
They're both. I concur. They're movies.
Well, we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 simply because of the pandemic. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 came out, and only Bad Boys for Life beat it at the box office because we had no summer movies and no Christmas movies that year. So it was the number 2 movie of the year, and they said, number 2 movie of the year, better make a sequel. So,
wow.
But I hear it's actually decent. I don't know. I just don't care about Sonic, so I haven't.
Look, I mean, yeah, what level, I might have said this about the first one before we started doing the show, but like what level of quality do you require of a Sonic the Hedgehog movie? I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it because watching Jim Carrey do broad Jim Carrey stuff,
I agree with that.
It's very exciting to me. I don't need him to be in number 23 and, running around, but I'm like, having him play Dr. Robotnik, that's enough. I know enough about Sonic. I know there's a Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, here you go. Okay, well, he said both movies. I thought he was just saying it was how was it? 2 hours? But it looks like
how was it? 2 hours?
Yeah. Fair question here. Didn't they do a Hendrix biopic and couldn't use any of his music due to disagreements with the family and state? Perhaps. I know that movie that starred Andre 3000 as Jimi Hendrix, which I find terrible, was all about his time in England, and that's when Jimmy didn't play any of his hits. He was just playing like blues music.
Yeah.
So it's easy to not have to get the rights. If that's the film you're talking about, then maybe. And they didn't need the rights. He just played like covers and classic blues stuff in London while being a total asshole. Again, my thing about musical biopics, if you like the person the biopic is about, don't bother with the movie, except maybe most of Bohemian Rhapsody. But most of the time, if it's I Saw the Light or Walk the Line or Ray or this one, which is called All Is By My Side, you just learn that the person that you loved is a total dick. So,
you learn how much people will put up with someone if they're talented.
Yeah. So it's like, it's such a shame. I mean, Andre might have been good, and the music was good, and the the effect of playing Hendrix was good, but it's just like, yeah, I don't need to know that he's just like
The Hendrix
rampant
estate,
philanderer, liar, jerk, and and we all know he was like just drugged
but
out.
the Hendrix estate is crazy because I remember like there's like some relative of Jimi Hendrix in town that like runs a incense shop or something, and he owns the rights for incense to call it Hendrix incense or something like that. I mean, it's just like the whole family has divided everything up. It's like, no, I have the T-shirt rights. I have the, there's like a vodka named after Jimi Hendrix. Like one family member has the vodka rights, and nobody else is allowed to have Jimi Hendrix vodka and stuff. It's like it's really like they're like money, money, money. It's kind of crazy. So yeah. Wouldn't be surprised me if like I get to make the movie, but I get to make the movie with the music. Okay, we'll both make movies, whatever.
Did we even talk about what's happening behind you in your TV and what that means for today's show? Did we mention Dy Sal? I think you mentioned his name briefly, but
yes.
If you don't know, we have a guest. It's been a while since we've had a guest on the show, so Dy Sal will be joining us, and he is one of the choreographers and actors and stuntmen behind Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters now, which I highly recommend and sang the praises of last week. And of course, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, one of last year's biggest Marvel films in a 4 Marvel movie year, which was glorious. And so, yeah, he'll be up later in the show. I think 1:30 he's going to chime in, and then we'll talk to him all about stunts in the movies because who doesn't love that?
Should we play a trailer clip now or from Everything Everywhere, or just wait till he comes on?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because I pulled a couple clips here. I mean, I can't wait to... by the way, I am like completely laying down on the job this week for the show. I am moving. I don't know if you could tell, this room is almost entirely empty here. Just moving boxes and stuff. So I really, Paul's like, if you can make it out to see a movie, I'm like, I am not going to make it out to see a movie this week. It's just
But I mean, who better to talk about Shang-Chi with? So, you've got that part of the conversation covered.
Oh, yeah. Very exciting. Okay, so here's a little clip. I cannot wait to see this movie. Is this Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
He had to train Jamie Lee Curtis also?
Well, we'll find out what I know he was a fight designer. In Everything Everywhere All at Once. For Shang-Chi, he straight up trained Simu Liu.
Right. And
that's pretty cool. We'll find out his role. More with everything.
What a great premise for a movie, and oh my god, and the people he gets to work with.
Across the multiverse, I've seen thousands of Evelyns. You can access all of their memories, their emotions, even the skills. There's a great evil spreading throughout the many verses. And you may be our only chance of stopping it.
Don't make me fight you. I am really good.
I don't believe you.
Wow, that was really good.
So many things to talk about there. First of all, that last shot, the last line, the Ki Hai Kwan short round.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so it's so great to see him in the best role of his career. I mean, Short Round was a great role, but as an adult, he just kills it in this role.
But he hasn't acted in years, decades.
He's done stuff regularly, but he hasn't had a role, I think, of this magnitude in a movie. He's done TV and stuff, and that shot on the staircase where a bunch of guys just going to go ready to fight Shell Yo. That Andy Lee was in there. If you remember back in September, I got to interview Andy Lee and Daniel Ma from Martial Club.
Okay.
Dy Sal was also in this group of martial artists called Martial Club.
Martial Club, yeah.
And Andy Lee played Death Dealer in Shang-Chi. So he's in this, and his brother Brian is also in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, and they kick ass. I recognize him right away. I went, "That's Andy," and because Death Dealer, of course, you don't recognize him as Death Dealer in Shang-Chi. He's got the whole crazy,
he's got the mask
outfit.
What a cool villain in Shang-Chi, though. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
so good. That's right. And I'm very curious if Dy knew Ke Kwan, because it's like he's just a famous face. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and that much is true as well. And let me just get to this to make sure things like this get answered before Dy gets here. Was my victory dance in the Schmodown something I did, or just bust that out? Appreciate you liking that, but
yeah,
I mean, good Lord, I'm just happy I won.
Yes.
But I always try and have something prepared. If you watch Adam and I in the Schmodown, we try and have something prepared for wins, losses, whatever. It's just like kind of fumfering your way through a speech or a moment when you can really make the most of it is our thing. So I'm like, yeah, let me do some Peacemaker if it goes well. And so sure enough, that's all I knew. Like I know the next part is up and down, and then kind of like this. But yeah, so that.
Well, what was funny about that moment is I was watching Peacemaker, just one of my favorite pop culture things of the year, and immediately hopped on with Paul, and it's like, oh, we got to memorize the dance. It'd be so fun to come out, as the fan favorites, as we get more and more people in the group or whatever, that we all know that dance. And it was just something we discussed. But then right after that victory, or I don't know, I think maybe before or whatever, Christian said, if you guys win, dance. Like just a random request. And it was like, oh, thank God we actually talked about it, because Paul had a couple of the moves from Peacemaker down.
JT has that little shuffle with his cane. He kind of looks like the Godfather from the old Attitude Era days of wrestling.
Yeah.
Thanks. And for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, check Adam and I out in the Movie Trivia Schmodown. It's an online movie trivia league where tens of thousands of people watch us play movie trivia.
Yeah.
I am currently a competitor. Adam is currently a manager of players in the league. And they've wisely combined movie trivia with pro wrestling. So there's attitude, there's smack talk, there's alliances and storylines and all that stuff. So there's lots to check out there, and how weird it could get is left only to the imagination. So we try and bring it.
By the way, I'm David. I will do the Chris McGlover dance the next time we have a victory.
Adam came up with a good idea over the weekend when there was some more taping of something else to do later. What was it? The mug shot thing? No, what was it?
Oh, that's right. Group mug.
Group mug. All right, we'll do that. We'll see what that is sometime in the group mug.
Group mug. Yeah.
There's a lot of what's coming out, right? Separate. Oh, we didn't talk about Ambulance. Need we? I don't know.
Ambulance? Oh, the movie that's been advertised for 7 months, and I could have sworn probably came out. I just didn't catch it, and it's probably on HBO Max right now. That Ambulance? Why has it been advertised for so long?
Yeah. Michael Bay in April, I guess, but there's no season anymore for movies. I mean,
no, that's gone away. Isn't that interesting?
The Fast and Furious early, trying to be the first of the summer slot that's been in years past, and now we'll see how it does. And Morbius already made $39 million over the weekend, so movies are backish, and that's cool.
Morbius got his own solo.
What'd I say? Okay. Get ready to say Morpheus, because you're going to call that movie Morpheus at least once. So,
by the way, I'm moving. A 10-minute walk away from the Chinese theater, and what's playing right there is Morbius. And I really, because I move tomorrow, I really want, as soon as I'm settled and everything, I want to walk around the corner and go see Morbius in IMAX, which is just like way more than it deserves, I'm sure.
84 million worldwide again, I think, and a 17% Rotten Tomatoes score. I think the Sony Marvel movies have started to take off and be critic proof.
I would have sworn that the original Venom would have made $5 million, went pretty much straight to video, gotten out of theaters. I can't believe how big a hit that was. I mean, This is how big an environment that Marvel has built up now, and this is why you see DC doing whatever it wants, because it's like they all make money. All these movies make money. It doesn't matter. It almost sounds like the end of a bet. Oh, please. We could put out Morbius and it would make money. Really, it's like, I don't know, we could make Moon Knight a TV show and people would like it. I mean, we're invincible right now.
Some facts about Morbius. With The Lost City atop the box office last weekend, that marks 1 week without a superhero movie in the number one spot. So you can't have that. That's why Morbius was released.
Very nice.
The first time notorious method actor Jared Leto dispensed with the acting tricks and just played himself as an ageless vampire who drinks blood. This is major move. This is from Sony, the Sony side of Marvel movies, which means it'll be terrible and gross $700 million. Leto plays a doctor with a horrible disease who goes looking for the cure. Along the way, he is bitten by bats and becomes a hideous, disfigured, bloodthirsty vampire. So let that be a lesson to you kids. Never try to cure any horrible diseases. That's really the message.
Well, that ain't the American way.
And finally, Tyrese Gibson plays a cop in the film, making him the second singer in the cast after Leto, unless Al Madrigal can hold the tune, as his name suggests. It's jokes.
You serious, Clark?
Da-da-da. See, okay, so this is where we got to get music drop at the end of any review like that. Yeah.
And there was much rejoicing.
But yeah, I've yet to see it either. I have tickets for tomorrow night. So and then
I'm very excited. Where are you seeing it tomorrow night?
Here in Burbank somewhere. I haven't bought tickets
Yeah.
yet. It's interesting that it did well, because the last photo my friend Randy sent was a screen cap of the theater, and like 4 seats are sold. Big ass theater. But
well, you know how big the TCL Chinese Theater is, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to come be the only 2 people in that auditorium with me to see Morbius?
That does help. That theater does help a movie.
Yeah.
You know?
It does.
Didn't we love Transformers: Age of Extinction there?
Loved it. Loved that movie. I had the best time watching Transformers: Age of Extinction in that theater. I would go as far as to say that, like, how did you feel about X-Men Origins Wolverine? I remember years ago we went to go see that at the TCL. Did you feel that helped that?
No. Maybe my theory's wrong.
Right. So that's the one. But that's the one. That's the only one. Yeah. I mean, but please, that movie's beyond,
I also wanted to share something else here. Let me load it into the old computer nader and see what I got.
Far out.
Because the other movie I saw over the weekend worth sharing is after 2.5 years, or 2 years. After 2 years, and for me at least 3 years, I got to see again in the theater The Room.
Oh, you did. You finally made the return to The Room.
I was going to the Geffen to see a play a couple weeks ago, and I noticed that the Landmark Westwood was showing The Room at midnight, and I'm like, boy, I hope people come out. Yes, they did.
Oh my gosh!
Absolutely packed.
Wow!
Packed house, sold out for The Room. The screaming, the yelling, the spoons, the jumping up and down, the running around the theater, everything was in full effect, and it was glorious.
Wow.
VHS.
Big time.
Yeah.
For such a horrible piece of shit, the fact that could be a VHS is remarkable.
Yeah, all right.
And if you haven't seen The Room, don't watch it on DVD or anywhere streaming. Go to a theater and see it. I mean, there was a guy in front of me who was a ringer. He must have seen the movie. I've seen it like 9 times in the theater, and he must have seen it 20 or 30 because he had a line for everything that happened, from like a bad editing cut. He would just, hey, can you move that lighter to the left? And then it like moves to in the cut, the second shot, the lighter's in a different position. Like he just knew everything. And we sat right behind him, so we got the full treatment. And then of course, I know a bunch of the jokes and stuff to yell out too. And what I love about The Room is it's a little different than, I think, Rocky Horror for me. Rocky Horror, when I go to see it now, the first time I ever saw it was in college, and it was just complete bedlam. There was no restraints. Everybody was going berserk. Now when I go see it at a theater, I just feel it's a little too controlled. You have the cast, that's the live cast while the thing's going on. And it seems like you have all these times you say things, but it's a little less it's a little too structured. The Room is still chaos when you go to see it. It's just yell, scream, throw, whatever, do whatever you want. Doesn't matter. It's great. No one's going to yell at you for yelling at something that's not at the right time or anything.
I never felt ownership over Rocky Horror because that was already a thing when I first heard of it. But The Room. I had a friend come back from Los Angeles, and he brought this DVD and he goes, have you heard of this movie? And I don't think we watched it there, but it's already sort of gaining legend. But when we first went to go see it, which is probably now, 13 years ago? 14 years ago? I mean, right at the beginning of it. And it was it was a single theater, and then it got built up to all 5 theaters at the Sunset 5, and then it disappeared. But I felt like we got to own that because the first time we went to go see that, there was a bunch of famous jokes in that now that I'm like, did we have a part in that? Because I remember going to see it once where that row of the what's the show Growing, or not Growing Pains, Everywhere You Look.
Full House.
Full House. I remember that row of shots, and now everybody sings everywhere you look. But I'm like, I know we went to go see that once, and nobody sang that, and then we kind of whispered like, "Oh, that looks like the whatever." Next time we went, we sung it. The third time, someone else sung it. So I was just like, "Oh, do we have anything to do?" Bart Caius to this day says "Scotchka." Because they somehow mix scotch and vodka, like because the movie just pays no attention to the physics of the world.
You have iced tea and water and put it together. It is drink in movie.
It is drink. Yes, he has drink. So yeah, and he's Scotchka. You know, he shouted out Scotchka, and then ever since then, everybody started shouting Scotchka. And he's like, I think I came up with that. You know.
And I think that everyone knows the context, but if you don't, The Room is the horrible movie that The Disaster Artist is the making of, the narrative making of.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the worst movie of all time. But what's interesting is that you mentioned that there were a whole bunch of things that didn't happen this time that I used to hear every time. Like after a few years and maybe in a different place down in Westwood, there was a whole bunch of new stuff. And then like some other things that were shouted out when I was ready to shout something else. I'm like, oh, that's a different line than I'm used to hearing. But again, it doesn't matter. Just you say whatever the hell you want. But there was a big joke at the end when all the people gather around Tommy after he's dead. And you can go up and sort of like move their heads like they're blowing him. Nobody was. I thought I'd be one of 5 people up front moving the heads into Tommy's crotch, and I was the only guy. So I got that big laugh, which was fun. You know.
Wait, do you have to run up to do that?
Yeah, you run up and you do it. And it's weird and everything's strange. Well, enough of that. Hey, our guest is here.
Hello. Let's not keep Mr. Sal waiting. It's very exciting of him to join us here. We're as such big fans of not only martial arts movies for years and years and years, as I'm sure he is as well. And I actually would like to get his history of like, you know, before he got into choreography, like what movies did he watch and geek out over? I'm sure he's a movie geek as well. But now, obviously, you know, my favorite thing in the world is superhero movies. So, you know, being involved in Shang-Chi, even seeing Shang-Chi as a movie, it just like blows my mind,
happened,
you know?
Right? Like
that it happened, right?
You've gone that deep in the titles, and it's a glorious.
It's glorious, right? Exactly. That's my favorite thing about superhero movies in general. So it's really fun. So thanks for hooking this up today,
Well, let me give
Paul.
him the proper intro, and I should also say my name is Paul, and that is Adam. There. So when you come on, you know who you're talking to because we have goof lower third names here for our thing. But our guest is a member of Martial Club, a group of insanely skilled martial artists who have made numerous shorts and videos on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/Martial Club to check them all out. And the good thing is it's not just impressive martial arts, but many of the time they employ a great sense of humor in their videos. So you're going to have a lot of fun watching them, including Avengers stuff, which is really fun. And they've done what everybody wants to do with their creative career. They were just great at a thing until somebody noticed, and Hollywood has noticed, and now their work can be seen in Everything Everywhere All at Once, in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. The Martial Club actor and stuntman we're talking to today was the martial arts coach for Everything Everywhere All at Once, on Shang-Chi he trained Simu Liu to be the Marvel legend. So please welcome Dy Sal. Hello. Hey,
hi
man.
Thank you for the intro. How are you guys?
Outstanding.
Better now. Talking to you.
Is my audio pretty good?
Yeah, we're all good, man. I sang the praises of Everything Everywhere All at Once last week because I saw it a week and a half ago, and I think it's the most ambitious movie of the year for sure, and tons of fun.
Both of you have seen it.
I have not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had to move this week, and I had my room is entirely empty here, but boxes. So everything went by the wayside this week, so I didn't have a chance. But Paul has seen it; he can ask you all the right questions, and I will sit here and enjoy hearing the answers for sure. Because
so maybe we don't spoil anything for like.
Of course, no, we don't want to do that anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have nobody better here to talk about Shang-Chi with than Adam, so we'll get to that in a second. But like Adam said, we want to talk about you. So.
Yeah.
You're born in Cambodia, grew up in Long Beach. How does martial arts come into your life?
Well, Long Beach was hard to grow up in terms because I grew up in the projects in Long Beach, and so we got into a lot of fights. There were a lot of bullies. So obviously, martial arts was something that made me empowered me when I watched it, and I was like, oh, you know. The old lesson of like brawn over brain, brain over brawn,
right,
can come into play, and so I need to learn martial arts, and so I would beg my parents, you know, to take me to a martial arts class. But but it's actually I don't know if I want to get into the long story of how it came about, unless you
Like
guys want to hear.
what
I'm interested.
methods of martial arts or yeah, whatever. What kinds of martial
styles
arts were
did you-
styles? That's what of those were
Started
available to
with,
you?
karate,
Yeah.
and then Wing Chun,
Yeah.
and then Wushu, and then Brazilian Jiu Jitsu,
Wow.
Taekwondo, and then I finally went back to my roots to learn Khmer martial arts. Khmer martial arts is from Cambodia,
Yeah.
and
Khmer.
it is the
Khmer.
predecessor to Muay Thai. So
Ah.
yeah, so the world hasn't been exposed to that style yet.
Khmer.
And yes, Khmer martial arts.
Yeah.
So just like the way the raid kind of like introduced the world to Silat,
Okay.
last October, Martial Club design a fight design for a film called Hanuman, and hopefully at the end of this year, that will kind of like introduce the world to Khmer martial arts.
Oh, really? So that is
Yeah.
like the main style of that movie is Khmer martial arts.
And Brian Lee and I starred in it too, and and Daniel Ma was in it too. So it's gonna be pretty big.
I love all the different styles of martial arts. That's what's so fascinating. And just watching some Shang-Chi, preparing for this and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the various forms where there's some sort of grappling, but this like circular movement.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty constant in Shang-Chi, actually, which I almost wondered, I'm like, is that symbolic of rings, that you had all of these things where people would constantly be turning each other? Or is that just, come out of... do you recognize that and go, ooh, that's a really cool style to add to Shang-Chi, whose theme is rings, and circular, sort of
Right.
like that circular grappling and stuff. And there's just so many different forms. It's so cool.
I mean, it's amazing you picked that up, because we did think about rings, but in actuality, in the Shaolin Temple, when I was there, the first lesson was, if it's not circular, it's not martial arts. So that's why like Jackie Chan incorporates a lot of spinning moves, and then
And spinning as well, yeah.
Obviously, like the camera angles will allow you to see it more beautifully or not, So
Yeah.
aesthetics is kind of like big for us. It's just as big as the like power or fight element.
And you guys shoot your own shorts, and Paul showed him the last time when we had someone on from
Andy, yeah.
Andy on that there are these hilarious clips, and it's exactly what you do love about like Jackie Chan, is that sort of like, it's like what's the famous shot where they like grab for the bottle, I mean, that's those sort of things, and like, yeah, what style, what's the funniest style? Really, in some
Style
ways.
is probably Jackie Chan style.
Yeah.
I think each one of us brings, different elements to the table, and I think Andy, his favorite is Jackie Chan style. He really,
What would you say is Jackie Chan style? I've never heard that discussed. Like you can't talk about Bruce Lee without talking about, I believe it's Wing Chun, right? Is
right, Wing Chun, yeah.
Yeah, Wing Chun. But like Jackie Chan, they never go, oh, the master of blank. But like, what is his style?
Philosophically, his style is fighting without wanting to fight,
Right.
which I think is so amazing because it comes out physically, and he was inspired by like Charlie Chaplin and like telling a story physically.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it communicates, or it translates so well internationally, because it's a motion picture. You don't need words to understand Jackie Chan's story of, the story of the fight.
I never thought of that. Like Jackie Chan's always trying to get out of fighting, like trying to slip out of people and duck under things and all that stuff. And that's what we love about him. You're like, oh yeah, it is him trying to not fight in some ways is what's funny about all that.
I heard him describe it once as Bruce Lee is "Har!" Jackie Chan is ha oh.
Right. Right.
And I love the fact, I've brought this up on the show many times, that I've heard that sometimes in a movie it's just script, and then a page just says Jackie Chan fight scene. script. And then the movie, whoever's making the movie or writing the movie just knows when we get to that page, they got it. What they call them, the stunt monkeys, I think Jackie Chan that he works with. I think that's what they called his team of guys once in some movie. But yeah, they'll just take care of it. Is that how you guys find yourself working now? Because you obviously, you and Daniel and Brian and Andy, you have such a way of working together now. If you get in a movie like Hanuman and it's like, okay, the story ends here and there's a big fight, go. Is that kind of, you just take over and get it done?
That's a really good question. You know, our purpose is in service of the narrative. So I think we have to read the script. All of us understand it and we discuss it first before we choreograph anything. And for Everything Everywhere All at Once, everyone was confused except Daniel Ma, because it was so wild. Like, it was so hard to understand. Like, you've seen the movie and you saw it visually, so you can kind of follow it. But imagine reading the words on paper and not knowing the transitions or which universe we're in. It took Daniel Ma to like decipher the whole thing and give us instruction on where to begin.
Yeah, that is, as I mentioned, the movie's ambitious. It is a multiverse movie, but they don't just say, oh, in this one, you're a chef instead of a mild-mannered laundry. That is true, but also in one, there's hot dogs for fingers. In one, it's just completely mental. Like, they realize rules don't exist when you jump to another multiverse. So each one is completely out there and different from another, where there's talking animals and all sorts of stuff. So it's all, so reining that all in is like, kudos to the directors. And if you guys could follow along while you're trying to do all the action sequences, then that's kudos to you as well.
None of us had any idea how it would come out. Yeah, we were pretty nervous before the first viewing, like just with the crew. But I gotta say, like, honestly, third time watching it, in my opinion, it's like one of the best movies ever made. Just simply because how challenging it was and how bold it was. Like, say, like Shawshank Redemption, amazing movie, but the planning of this one had to be like to the T, because everything, like seamlessly transitioned. So,
you know what the problem with Shawshank Redemption is? No karate. I've always said that.
That's why I think of something like Avengers Endgame or Inception or these movies that just like, we're going to think big. When you can pull it off, man, good job. So in that film, now, one of the things I was excited to see in the Oscars was Jamie Lee Curtis holding the puppy. I'm like, oh, she looks good. Because in Everything Everywhere All at Once, she looks awful. And I was hoping, did she let herself go, or was she playing a crazy character? She plays this like heinous, nasty, dumpy tax auditor. And so I was thrilled to see that she's still the Jamie we love. How did you work with her, who clearly has nothing on her resume that says, I'm going to be able to hold my own against Michelle Yeoh?
Yeah, it was really fun. She was like the light of the whole crew. Like, she would lead exercises sometimes, and she would just make us laugh just to get the momentum going, because it's long days. We're doing 12, 14-hour days. And I had we choreographed for her, and we made sure like she was comfortable, but I had to be on a wire. Damn, I don't want to give away anything, but everyone's taking a break, and I'm like, it takes too long to take off this harness and take a 15-minute break. I'll just hang up here. And so they're having fun talking, and Jamie Lee Curtis would come by and pinch me and just like, kind of like, so I'm not bored or whatnot. I don't know. She's really fun to be around.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ed.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think I have a clip of Jamie Lee Curtis here. This is the second part of the trailer. I showed a little bit earlier. Do you want me to show a little more of the movie here? Just, and maybe might bring up something to talk about as well?
Yeah.
The universe
He speaks of senseless things
is so much bigger
written you and me.
than you realize.
Of all the places I could be, I just want to be here with you.
Remember our mission concerning the fate of every single world of our infinite multiverse.
There is no way I am the Evelyn you are looking for.
Every rejection, every disappointment has led you here. To this moment. Don't let anything distract you from it.
She wasn't in that clip, but that certainly gives you a
second. Yeah.
She was she was in that clip.
Oh, was she? Okay, I didn't
Hard
see
to
her.
recognize her, but Michelle is in the middle center screen. I'm on the right, and Jamie Lee Curtis is on the left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize her. It's amazing what she did. Like on set, she's Jamie Lee Curtis, and then when she gets into character, she has this Boston accent, and she just gets into it right away. Like there's no, you know how you hear like actors stay in character, and they just, even for the emotional scenes, they went from, black to white, like right away. They're just on. These are professionals. Like their acting is really good.
Oh, here's the clip. Sorry, here's the clip. This is.
The audience loved that moment.
That was the perfect clip right there. Yeah.
And that's the moment she discovers her powers, much like when Spider-Man, back in the Tobey Maguire days, first realizes in high school, oh, I have powers.
I love that
I'm
moment.
surprised as I use them,
Mhm.
and of course Michelle Yeoh, such a legend. I mean,
how was that working with
Crouching Tiger and Shang-Chi, of course, and Tomorrow Never Dies. She was in a James Bond movie. I mean, she's done it all. So on the set, I imagine she's nothing but a great sort of person to admire while you work with her. Yeah,
she's an absolute sweetheart. Like, she's the only one who ever asked me, like, only actor I've worked with who asked me about like my background in that depth. Like, hey, where's your grandma from? To find commonality. I think that just speaks, enormously to like who she is. Like, yeah.
And she's worked with other legendary choreographers. I mean, the legendary choreographers too. I mean, what was that like when you give her a note? She can filter it through so many other things and completely understand what you're asking.
Or is
how
it
is the communication? Yeah. Or is it intimidating? That's the other question.
It was intimidating at first, obviously, but then, because I watched her as a kid, like, but then as soon as she said hi, it was like she came down to everyone else's level. She never acted like she was the queen of, action films like she is,
like she is.
Yeah.
She's not like, that's not how you and Wo Ping would do it. She didn't give me any of that.
Right.
Thank God.
And we would go through moves that she did in her other movies. Like we have it cataloged and we're like, remember Michelle, in this movie you did this and this. And she was like, how come you do that better than me? Like she always made us feel like she needed our support. And I think, man, I would work with her on any film. Like, such a pleasure.
And the crazy thing about this movie, and again, I haven't seen it. Obviously, I've seen the trailers, and I'm just fascinated with the premise of this because you must get asked all the time. Like, I watched martial arts movies as a kid. I watched ninja movies as a kid, and they're largely the same plot, which is a kid moves into a new town. The bullies start beating him up. He learns martial arts, or even an adult or whatever. If like the Yakuza follows him to this new town or whatever, and then so I mean, there's got to be like a lot of common things. But what's happening in this one is one of the most unique setups for martial arts ever. It must feel really good to like not do the standard sort of thing of like, oh, and then it's sort of a self-defense lesson, and then they go find the boss and beat up the boss, that sort of thing. Police story sort of stuff.
Yeah, the challenge of it definitely kept us on our toes. We knew this wasn't going to be cookie cutter. This was extremely challenging. There's a moment where the goal was for a character, Andy Lee, to put something in his butt, and she was trying to stop him to put something in his butt. That was hard to choreograph.
A unique choreography challenge.
Right, it's a fight, but it's amusing.
There are things you have to do to acquire the skills you have in another universe. And one of the things this one time was you have to stick something in your butt.
Yeah. And then there.
Okay. Sorry.
I don't want to give away anything, so.
Okay. Well, hey, but that's a great teaser. You didn't give anything away, but I know to acquire. That's a great teaser. It's okay. I have to. I've had to see it before. Now I definitely have to see it.
You have to see it, and I believe you have to see it more than once.
Yeah,
I will. And before I want to get on to Shang-Chi, but one more question about Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, and it's a broad question, but answer it as succinct as you think you can, because it's martial arts coach, assistant fight designer.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your relationship to everyone else on the set? Do the directors just say, take this over for now? Or do the directors say, this is what I want? Do you work with the actors' skills, or do you say, I would like to see this and see if it can happen? There's 100 questions.
All the above.
Yeah, exactly.
While the director, in pre-production, while the Daniels are planning everything, we're 2 months with a team in a gym. Just if it's a 30-second fight scene, we create a 5-minute fight scene, and then the director picks and chooses which parts he wants. He changes it. We ask the actors themselves what they would like to show, what they can do. So, we can, because it's always better when the actor does it, So, what's the other question? I'm sorry.
I think that was it. That's
so you got to come from a place that they're, how they accept martial arts. You got to work with their perception of it and increase their ability to use what you're giving them, right?
Right. And then before we even shoot, we have a video of the whole fight, but it's just not on set. It's in a gym. That's called a pre-visual, and that is our storyboard that we take onto set. And then the directors come to us and ask us, is this the shot to match this shot? It's really humbling that the Daniels, who I think are geniuses,
okay, yeah,
I think they're geniuses for real, and they ask us for our input.
If you don't know, Daniel Kwan, Daniel Shiner directed Swiss Army Man as well. And so they're out there.
Okay.
They're out there.
But they obviously have an interest in martial arts. This is that they brought this in, and the way they cast this movie is very interesting. From the guys that did Swiss Army Man to make this, it's quite a leap.
Yeah, and they specifically wanted martial club martial arts.
Yeah.
Probably because it matches the wildness that they bring.
Yeah, obviously they're fans of your videos, right?
Well, moving on to Shang-Chi, that's the thing that impresses me about the fight sequence between Simu Liu and Death Dealer right after the scaffolding fight, where they kind of have a big square off.
Yeah.
The speed is just, there's no sort of catch your breath moment. It's just it's constant movement, and it's just that's always been super impressive for me. So, do you have a little clip of that, Adam?
I have a clip of the Shang-Chi training that they did for a trailer for the behind the scenes. So, and I think with some familiar faces in this one.
I showed up for the first day of training, and I just got my butt kicked.
Oh, Panic at the Disco!
We explored what his strengths were. We also covered all his weaknesses.
What weaknesses?
There's familiar faces there.
I'm wearing the same shirt. That's weird.
So what did he bring to the table? Because I know him as being a comedic actor in Canada. So what skill did he bring, and how did you mold him to become the Kung-Fu Master?
At one point, he had to. He did some stunts Stunts is not always martial arts, you know. Sometimes like running and falling and stuff. Right. So he had experience, and he plays basketball, so he's physically gifted. His muscles are there. It's just the stretching. You know, you have to be really flexible to like do some martial arts, and we spent a lot of our time stretching, as you saw in the video. Like, stretching is painful.
And there was another, I couldn't find the clip, but is definitely showcased in the Assembled documentary, which is an hour and a half on Shang-Chi, I think, is the Assembled.
It's like an hour and a half. Yeah, it's very, very... let me just say a quick thing about that. Sorry, Adam, we'll get to your thought. But I was surprised with how thorough that is and how open they let all the artists be talking about the product. You think Disney would be like, no, don't say that anything bad ever. But they were like, no, Shang-Chi was a character who was kind of stuck in the early 70s and had stereotypes about martial arts, and we advanced it and we made it better. And I thought that was really cool to see the evolution of that. So check that out. The Assembled, I want to watch more of the Marvel Assembled series about the other films in the MCU that I love. But this one about Shang-Chi was very thorough about creating that entire huge movie.
Yeah, and when I saw these pop up on Disney Plus, nothing drives me nuts more than a 2-minute making of a movie. I'm like, no, not enough information. And I actually have watched very few of these and didn't even realize they were these long things. And you guys are featured heavily in this. You've got about 10 minutes of you guys choreographing things, before they move on to talking about special effects and stuff like that. But it's really interesting. It must have been a big step up for you guys to have to then consider how, CG is going to happen or doing this on blue screen. That must have been new for you guys.
To be honest, I've done it before. However, before Shang-Chi, I took a 5-year hiatus from the industry to be with my 2 children. I wanted to be there with them in their formative years. Yeah. So coming back, there was kind of a drought for me. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It could be Marvel calling. Get that.
No, it's Andy Lee.
Tell Andy we say hi.
That would have been fun if he's like Kevin Feige. I
don't know. Moon Knight's going to have to fight some people. I need you to come in.
I took a 5-year hiatus, and coming back, it was very difficult to find work. And then the next thing I know, I meet Brad Allen. If you know Brad Allen, the late Brad Allen, who fought Jackie Chan in Gorgeous, the Caucasian guy that
he's in the Assembled. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. He is a legend and one of my heroes. And we meet him at a boba shop, and he was just so humble. Like, he comes up and he bows, and I'm just like in awe. And he was already talking about our future together. Anyways.
Wow.
And then, they bring us Simu Liu to train. Like, for me, like, just from a refugee kid to like training superheroes, it really hit me. What?
Wow. Did you read comic books as a kid?
Oh, I didn't.
Well, you might not have had access to them, probably, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. See, I read Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu as a kid because I loved all the 70s superheroes. I loved Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Moon Knight was the 70s, but they all kind of because martial arts became very popular with Bruce Lee in the 70s. Everybody had the Bruce Lee poster. You could even see that in Saturday Night Fever. He's doing his hair in front of a Bruce Lee poster. It was a big deal. And that's really why Shang-Chi became a comic book. In fact, I think it was just called Master of Kung Fu, was to kind of ride the Kung Fu wave. Luke Cage was to ride the kind of blaxploitation wave, the cool Shaft and stuff like that. So I always thought those were the coolest characters, and I'm like, you'll never see those live action. So, but the question is because it's based on a comic book called Master of Kung Fu, does he do any Kung Fu in the movie? It's a whole lot of different forms, but I don't know, is Kung Fu even in there?
It's Kung Fu, but we do mix a lot of different styles.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, if I may ask, when you watch it, have you seen it being other styles being sampled and put in there? I'm just wondering from the audience perspective, do they see Jackie Chan style in there?
See, I don't know Jackie Chan style, but I mean, I can tell when certain styles, because Wing Chun is all the hands and all that sort of stuff and body movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell when that's being incorporated. Now, I actually want to go back to what Paul said is when when there's the fight after the scaffolding, when those two square off, what style is that? Because they are like simultaneously repelling each other. They're like going backwards and then back up and then use that style I could not recognize. Is that Jackie Chan style?
In my opinion, or as Martial Club, that is the cutting edge style that we bring.
Oh, okay.
And we the best way to describe it is like a Dr. Dre song who samples from old music.
Okay.
We bring in a new flair. So the old is, you know, a little bit of Shaw Brothers, a little bit of Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Iron Monkey, but then there's a style of martial arts, not for fighting but for show, called tricking. Okay. So that we add tricking, we add a little bit of swagger from breakdancing. You know?
Okay. Yeah, because that one blew me away because that looks completely unique.
Right. And so that is the epitome of our style. Now, in the bus fight, you did see like
that's very Jackie.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Like punching
because
behind,
that's right.
Pulling people into bars.
And then using physical objects, physical objects to try and get away, like we were saying about Jackie Chan, to try and escape, to try and not fight, you know?
Right. So that was our tribute to Jackie Chan. We really got to put our stamp on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be my response. That I saw that for sure. He punched a couple of guys, sits in a chair.
Yes.
And then goes back to fight. And that's total like he gets the laptop, it splits in half, so he gives it back, he keeps fighting. You know?
Oh yeah. That's so Jackie. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Let's get a question here from someone watching the show. I know it's 4:00. How much more time do we have with you, D1?
I'm good for 4:15.
We won't take you forever, but here's a question from someone watching. How much freedom did Marvel give you, and have they asked you back for other titles yet?
Oh, okay.
Fair question. And of course, I'm sure you can't tell us that. I produce a Disney podcast, and every time we talk to like Anthony Mackie or Paul Bettany or something, it's like, nope, I shot Endgame 2 years ago and had to shut up about it. So I don't know how much you can tell us, but you can probably answer the first sequence of how much did Marvel give you freedom-wise when it came to choreographing all this stuff?
Just like the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, we have all the freedom in the world to be creative, but they get to choose, because they get to pick and choose like which one they want, you know. But it is created by us. Yeah. They just, out of 10 awesome things, we can only show 3, and you know, we'll take it. Well, you guys got to make sure each one is awesome.
Well, what's also so cool is that you guys worked on Shang-Chi is that Marvel took, 26 movies to build up to what I think everyone else would have made as the first movie. So you look back on stuff like Blade, that they're like, I don't know if people are ready for superhero movies, but we can make a vampire movie or that's the martial arts movie too. Some forms are in there. But so the idea that Marvel waited to do all the cosmic stuff and they're like, now we're doing Shang-Chi, the more street level, traditional action movie. Martial arts is much more, before they invented the genre of action where, like Die Hard and stuff, action was Bruce Lee and action was Jackie Chan. So that's really cool. I just want to say, this is not a question. It's just really cool that when they finally made their martial arts movie after all their pedigree, that you guys got to do it and make your mark on it. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. It's really the best. This is the best part. The best part is us sitting back and looking at that. You read the comics and you appreciated that film so much. And, we spent a lot of time and a lot of energy making it. So it really means a lot.
That's awesome, and none of your work is lost on me. I've seen that movie 4 times now, and it gets better every time. And I also just love waiting for the sequences. Like and there's so many. And every time you're waiting for a sequence, you're like, "Oh, I can't wait for the bus sequence." But of course, you're enjoying everything. And then after the bus sequence, you're like, "Oh, I can't wait for the scaffolding sequence." But of course, you're enjoying everything because the movie is still like lightning, But then after that, I'm like, I just get absorbed and forget like what's coming next, and it just like keeps rolling over. It's an accomplishment. I said to Paul after we left Shang-Chi, I said, every time I leave a Marvel movie, I go, this is the best one. This is the best one they've made. And I had just recently said it for Black Widow. I was like, okay, that's the best Marvel movie. And when we came out of Shang-Chi, I'm like, this is the best one. This is the best one they've made. So, yeah.
Then Eternals was the best. Now Spider-Man
now Spider-Man Far
is the
From
best. Until Doctor Strange comes out, that'll be the best.
That'll be the best. But, you know.
In terms of multiverse, they have a formidable opponent in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's really cool too, is that multiverse has become the big thing, and here you guys are making the ultimate multiverse movie for people that don't really care about superhero movies, that sort of thing. Like, we'll go to an A24 movie with martial arts, and that's just so cool that, like, you guys have made your mark on this multiverse and are a part of it in terms of its style, you know?
Yeah.
So Maddie Gunner says, Brad is such a legend that must have been surreal to work with him. I can imagine the same with Tony Leung, right?
Oh, what's that like?
Actually, I couldn't go to Australia because of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
They right when the cutoff was, I couldn't fly over. So
that's too bad. You didn't get to meet
that
Tony
was
Leung.
Unfortunate, but the fortunate thing is I got casted as a lead role in a DMX film, you know. So, you know, I have a career in acting too. So
what film is that?
It's called Fast Vengeance. Now,
okay,
yeah,
it's got Jeff Fahey and Bai Ling. I'll give a little plug there for it.
Really, Fahey's in that?
Was that DMX's last film?
It's his last film, even though maybe another film came out before, but he shot this last. Like, I was, you know, I had time with him in his last scene, which was pretty cool.
I mean, how cool is this, by the way, DY? I look up IMDb here because I'm totally going to watch Fast Vengeance now, and also make sure JT watches it. This seems like something JT had totally did.
It's a friend of ours, big time into action.
Friend of ours, big time into action. Like, if he hasn't seen Fast Vengeance, he's like, what? I got to see this. But I look it up, and here it is. DMX, Bai Ling, Jeff Fahey, Dy Sal. As I'm looking at the IMDb right there, how cool is that?
That's insane because in 2003, I was just an extra on Cradle to the Grave.
Oh.
And then, you know, on the call sheet to actually see, like, DY is on number 1 because I'm the lead, and then DMX second.
Wow.
And, you know, to get myself pumped to do scenes with him, I just listen to his music.
Right.
I go in the scene and I do a scene with him.
And you're working out and warming up and stuff. You got to warm up to that music, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. What's your tune? What's your DMX tune? It's got to be
X gonna give it to you.
I mean, what, you know, you're gonna work out. You're gonna do some pumping up. Oh my god.
So missing the opportunity to go to Australia, I got to jumpstart my acting career, and that's how Pracha Pingqiu, you know him? He's the director of Ong Bak.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Director of Ong Bak, his niece was visiting on set for Fast Vengeance, and she showed him my work, and he sends me a video that said, DY, we have to work together one day. And now Hanuman is presented by Pracha Pingqiu, the one we just did last year with Martial Club.
Oh, Hanuman is presented by
Pracha Pingqiu, yeah. The same distributor or sales agent as Ong Bak.
And Ong Bak is all Muay Thai, right? I think it's the first time I ever saw that
form. And so
now this will be the first time I see. What's the new form you're going to show us?
Khmer martial arts, which is the predecessor to Muay Thai.
Nice.
So I'm really excited to show the world that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of styles, there's another question here from someone watching.
Mm-hmm.
As a mixed martial artist, how do you consider the rising popularity of MMA to be a factor in modern fight sequence design, like its use of jiu-jitsu in John Wick?
I do MMA. I did MMA for like 5 years too. So I love MMA, and there's a place for it. It depends on the narrative of the film. I love John Wick, and the martial arts serves the narrative. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think a big hulking dude like John Wick's going to be doing any of the death dealer moves. You know, it's like probably the right thing for him to just be sort of a bruiser, you know?
But he was in the movie Man of Tai Chi, where he fought Keanu Reeves fought a lot against Tai Chi.
No, I mean, look, Matrix, Reeves is no joke. But I look at John Wick, and he's just such like a long-haired, like, he's not going to be the slick, quick guy.
And kudos to him for not trying to just entertain, but being true to John Wick.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, wait a minute. This brings me to something. Speaking of MMA, I'm glad you brought that up, Maddie, in the comments. But I saw an interview with you where you said that someone asked you the best martial arts moment or something you've ever seen. You said it was McGregor winning an MMA belt.
I mean, now we're talking about fighting, right? Because I'm a big fan of fighting too.
Yeah.
McGregor beating Jose Aldo for the interim belt in the UFC.
Can I just show what I think is that clip you're talking about? I'll just take a second.
Yes, please.
Caught and relaxed and smiling. Oh!
Just slipped him!
Is the new UFC featherweight champion of the world!
Is that the clip you're talking about?
That is the clip.
That's almost the entirety of the fight. There might have been another 30 seconds.
Okay, I've seen this clip and was confused because I'm like, did I miss something? But that is how quick that is. Can you play that again? Because I've seen this clip and I was confused.
Caught and relaxed and smiling.
Just slipped him!
What does he... that guy just looks like he goes down without McGregor hitting him. What am I missing there?
And I think that's why I think it's the best moment, because
Wow.
as martial artists, we're all students of the samurai mentality, which is like, if you look at a tree, you can't be caught up on each leaf. You got to see the whole thing, and you got to be relaxed and just take it in, And so him is just incredibly, to move that fast, you have to be incredibly relaxed, have faith in yourself, and the technique has got to be so precise. And because Jose Aldo, the guy he's fighting, he's a monster. You've seen him just annihilate people. And then he takes him out with the first punch he throws.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I don't think many people can do that. And McGregor had that moment. It's not like he could duplicate that moment. Just like Sylvester Stallone said, that was Rocky. He's past that, it's like at one moment in time it's perfect, and it might not be there again. So
yeah. Wow.
It reminds me of the shot that George Foreman landed on Michael Moorer, I think it was, when he won the belt in his 40s, right? It's kind of that you like, is that because usually you expect the punch to be like pop and he's out, but it was kind of that coming at, but Moorer was moving into it. It's kind of like Aldo is moving into it, and when you move into it and hit something that doesn't even extend all the way, that's a force that's just going to put you down.
Yeah, it's strange.
And Maddie Gunner here, who asked that question about John Wick and was at this fight, he said that McGregor was practicing a counter left beforehand and knew it was going to land. Like, the confidence there is just crazy.
Yeah, I follow McGregor a lot, so yeah, I know what he's talking about.
A couple more questions about Shang-Chi. We'll give you about 5 more minutes here, then we'll let you go. But did you attend the premiere?
No, I didn't.
They have a premiere? I forgot where we were in September.
Oh, they had a premiere, and only Andy was invited because he was in the cast. He's Death Dealer.
All right.
Yeah, I think they had it's just a packed theater, so we didn't get to go.
Grr. How about everything everywhere all at once? Did you get to?
Oh yeah, we were there.
They better have. Okay, it's time you guys start all going to this thing.
Yeah.
All right, so be sure to check out Marvel Assembled, specifically the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings edition, where they go behind the scenes of the movie and you can see Dy at work. And again, the whole way they put that movie together is fascinating. Again, I co-produced this Disney podcast, and Aquafina was on, and Simu, both talking about the film, and Aquafina was just going like, there was a bus in the sky and they were fighting, because it's on a huge gimbal in front of a green screen. They had it in San Francisco later, and she's like, they were doing stuff I'd never even seen before in my life. And so when you watch Assembled, you're like, yep, I see what she was talking about, looking at a bunch of guys fighting in the sky, and doing these crazy moves. It was pretty damn impressive. So good on you.
Now, Paul, before we let DY go, I pulled the trailer for Fast Vengeance. That's that one that says drops at the bottom there.
Do you want to show that? I mean, after showing Shang-Chi and...
So we could show a clip of Fast Vengeance, but I also wanted to ask him for some help with self-defense for people presenting at the Oscars as well. So what do we want to do? Do we want to...
Let's say you're getting a hard right across the face.
Let's just say...
Is it a...
Well, all right, let's go into that. I'm curious... If, let's say, someone is presenting an award at the Oscars, and then they get attacked, right? Like, what could you do to defend yourself? Here, let's take a look at this. First of all, I think we can all recognize what defensively Chris Rock is doing wrong here. So here, let's take a look at this.
Uh-oh, Richard.
Okay, so see, I slowed it down there for a second here. Yeah, okay, so his hands behind his back, and now, is there any... okay, so there's that shot. So what could one do better to defend yourself if you're going to get slapped like that?
There's usually, like, you don't want to be aggressive by showing, so you just kind of stand like this.
Okay.
That way it's in a position where you can defend yourself naturally. And if someone has something coming towards you, this is like the hardest part of your head.
Okay.
So you just, as long as you dip and they slap here, if they punch it, they can break their hand.
They can break their hand.
Right. So you have to understand, like, just the way a bull would hit, like, we're very strong right there. And after they hit you, I would grab them because you don't know if they're going to stop.
Right.
So now we're going into MMA, but yeah, I would grab their waist. And especially if he turned, I would grab him and I would be in the back. And, you know, I wouldn't hurt him, but...
yeah, but so that's...
They don't keep going.
And the one thing I noticed there too is Will Smith is really using, like, he's got one hand up, like he really goes into a stance there. It's kind of odd. So when he slaps, his hand's already up, like if Chris Rock comes at him or whatever. But that I just kind of fascinated at the form that Will Smith used there and how Chris could have defended himself. Yeah.
I hope future award presenters watch this clip and learn how to protect themselves.
Stand like this.
Right.
Like that.
I like that.
Okay.
Head
I don't want to sound
down.
like a hotshot because I am not. Although I am testing for my brown belt on Saturday for Hapkido.
Oh,
but
I didn't know you're still doing Hapkido. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, Master Song, who is our head guy at the studio, Korean. You know, used to teach the Marines.
Wow.
You know, great, 78, but could kill. Yeah, he's the kind of guy. I show you right. He'll like put a thumb here and you fall down. You know, he knows right where it's like. But that's what this is his thing though. Yeah, all the time. So pop if you just gotta, give a
right.
Stop something from coming at you. So it's funny you should say that. And of course, circular motion is one of the main principles of Hapkido. So you talk about circles in Shang-Chi, but it's all about that. From what I've learned in my my handful of belts on my way to black.
Good luck to you.
How many? What do you have black belt wise? What do you got? I know Mr. Miyagi will tell you it doesn't matter with belting,
but we all love a belt. We all love a belt.
Well, I was on the U.S. national kung fu team, so
for the Olympics.
It was like the martial arts Olympics.
Yeah,
because certain martial arts aren't. Like Kung Fu didn't make the Olympics, even though
Judo is, I think.
Judo, right?
Yeah,
that's
so
the
some
Olympic
things
one.
get in and some things don't.
Yeah, I think they go for the most traditional ones is what they use in the Olympics, like Judo and
Yeah, it's understandable because maybe some things are really hard to grade,
Yeah. Oh, that's true too.
Like, it's subjective. It's like some people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love martial arts. I was in martial arts for years, and I keep threatening to get back into martial arts. The thing I've been obsessed with recently, and I'll just go down these YouTube holes and I'll just watch martial arts videos. Wing Chun, which is again, I believe that's the Bruce Lee one, and that's the one with that they have the post with the sticks, right? And you got all these forms.
The wooden dummy. Yeah.
The wooden dummy. I've watched Wing Chun clips because a Wing Chun master. It is insane what nobody can get past a Wing Chun master. That style is like, I'm obsessed with it right now.
Yeah. It was really fun taking Wing Chun. It was created by a woman.
Was it?
Because she couldn't overpower her opponent. She had to use their energy against them.
Yeah.
So as they punched, she wouldn't block the hand away. That would stop their momentum coming. She would just make sure it got out of the way so she can use their energy to hit them.
Yeah.
That's a Hapkido thing at Master Song is my power plus your power equals my power.
And
I love martial arts.
And I love that the philosophy can be carried into your life as well.
Yes.
Like if someone's just not even fighting, if someone's cursing you out or if someone's complaining or whatever, like that you can maintain the power in even just a relationship through your knowledge of how power is transferred in martial arts. It's just it's so cool. Yeah.
Right.
Great philosophy there as well, you know?
Oh, is this correct? Someone's chiming in that Wing Chun might have been her name who founded the...
I believe it's her name, yeah.
Oh,
She was a nun. Well, there you go.
Oh, wow.
I could be wrong, so don't.
Yeah, we'll go look it up, but that'd be interesting. All right, so one more question. We ask this of everyone we talk to who we interview on one of these shows. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Great question.
Jeez. Well, before Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, I mean, you just said.
Which is kind of true. It's got to be Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Because there was someone in the film that looked like me, and that was important to me. You know, although I love Harrison Ford, Ki Kwan sometimes would be the voice of reason for Dr. Jones, and sometimes he was goofy too. Like, you know, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool because obviously you worked with Ke Kwan. On this movie, and we haven't seen him in a movie in forever. I believe he's constantly working. He's a translator, I think, a lot of the time, but we haven't seen him act in so long. What was that like? This is a childhood love of yours. You watch Indiana Jones, and there is someone that, as you said, looks like you, and now you get to work with them. I mean, what was that like?
My job was to train him. It was my job to train him for that fanny pack fight, and I kept being starstruck by him and like wanting to ask him questions about where he's been, but he's so focused. He was like, "Okay, let's keep doing this wrap around the neck." And it was this choreography for this fight, the fanny pack fight.
Yeah,
very hard. And I was like, "How is he gonna do this?" An actor, but man, we would eat lunch and he's like, "DY, come on, I need your help," and he would keep working it, and he did 90% of the fights on his own. So I'm so excited for you to see that fight, because when I sat in the theater and everyone like clapped, it's like, I trained my hero to look like a hero. It was like mind bending. Like,
wow, yeah, that's your applause too when that happens, you know.
He just texted me yesterday, and he said, "We did it! Like, you made me look so good. Thank you." And he's so humble. He's such a good guy, and that's why whatever what he represents in this film, that is him. He's this kind-hearted human. I can't wait for you to see it.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. And I just have to ask, because I haven't seen the fanny pack fight yet, but is it that sort of thing? Because I don't think I'd ever seen it in martial arts before. It's a classic thing of like Jackie Chan's wearing a sweater, gets the sweater off of his head, uses it to entangle people. Is it that the fanny pack used in those ways? Entanglement and then, you know, movement? But with the fanny pack, the universal symbol of geek, you know?
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful. I can't wait. Can't wait to see it.
And Brian's in that fight, right?
Brian is in that fight.
Yeah, like at front and center is one of the security guys he takes on. Yeah, he whips an ass with a fanny pack.
Wow, that's wonderful. What a great idea.
Let's take a switch on the question I just asked and say, what is your favorite martial arts movie of all time?
Good question.
That you haven't been in.
Enter the Dragon.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just sense memory, you know, feeling weak, and then something made you feel just, I don't know, seen, you know.
But you know, it is the Citizen Kane of martial arts movies. It is the one, because martial arts movies would play locally, here, there, play a grindhouse theater. But the idea that your big main Cineplex would bring a martial arts movie, Enter the Dragon represented that martial arts had reached the point, and that's a 2.35, you know, beautiful widescreen anamorphic movie. I mean, Enter the Dragon is like a gorgeous martial arts movie done on the highest level. It really is the Citizen Kane of martial arts movies. And there were a lot of people that never cared about martial arts, but had heard about, you know, Bruce Lee. And then they, well, should I go see, you know, John Wayne in this, or I'll go see Enter the Dragon? I mean, the Americans had that choice for the first time, I think, with something like Enter the Dragon, I think. But yeah, that's a cool, I'm saying that's the reason that it's your favorite movie.
Yeah.
You tell them that.
I'll tell them. And
Wait.
yeah. No, it's just Black Belt Jones. I'm forgetting Jim Kelly. You know, I mean, it's got Jim Kelly in it, John Saxon, you know, that sort of thing. One of the things I'm most upset about is that Jim Kelly was teaching tennis. He unfortunately passed away about 10 years ago, but for my first 3 or 4 years here, I could have gone and taken a tennis lesson from Jim Kelly. Oh my! I can't believe I never did that. I wish I had. I love Jim Kelly.
I can't believe I didn't go take a class from Bong Soo-han, who had a studio in Santa Monica. You know,
oh wow!
Before he passed, I popped in there once and got a look at him, but you know, teaching a class, but I never went. I ended up studying with this other master song, and his studio in the Valley. But well, DY. Thanks a ton for coming on, man. I mean, I love that movie. Everyone, I've plugged it enough a million times that everyone should go and see it. So we'll get Adam tucked into his new apartment, then you go check it out.
Yeah, very soon, very soon.
Thank you guys for having
Thank
me.
you, DY.
And this was my first interview on YouTube, so
cool.
Yeah, I was nervous, but I was also really excited.
Yeah, well, your passion for martial arts comes through, and that's really, I mean, not here, but also, well, not just here, but also in the movie. So, at Martial Club Official on Instagram, at Team Martial Club on Twitter, Facebook.com/Martial Club Films, and I think I mentioned before, the Martial Club, it's gone. I don't know where it went, but the what's the YouTube Martial YouTube.com/Martial Club. Simple enough. So check out everything they're up to. Do you have any other any social or anything else to plug?
A24 for making an amazing film like that and me having the chance to be a part of it. And then shout out to my friend Charlie LaHaye. I hope he feels better. He was sick. And shout out to Cambodian people that follow me and support me. And I promise to bring Khmer martial arts into the international scene.
All right.
And they're calling you a legend already here on the chat. So,
love it.
Thank you, Maddie.
Love it.
And yeah, and I'll let go. If you watch that assembled, Simu Liu echoes exactly what you said about representation. You know, a lot of superheroes have masks, and here's Shang-Chi with no mask, so he can be a person that Asian men can look at, Asian women, anybody who Asian can look at and say, here is a hero that is me.
Right.
So yeah, I hope you get to continue.
Thank you, Paul and Adam, for giving time from your platform, and congratulations on all your success thus far.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, man. And continued success. We'll get Adam out to see that movie.
Yes. I'll tell you what I think. I'll hit you on Twitter.
Yeah. Keep in touch.
Thanks.
Thanks, DY.
Bye.
Oh, and off he goes. Well,
that was awesome. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, you go to check out the videos from Martial Club, you're going to fall in love with them right away. And again, they've got one where they're all playing different Avengers.
Yes.
So the sense of humor is intact. The skills.
Well, you showed me the one they're struggling over toilet paper. That's like they were making fun of the quarantine, right? And they got all that classic, Jackie Chan thing. If one grabs for it, the other, and it tosses up in the air, and all that. They do all the great like Jackie Chan, fun joke type of things,
Yeah. Well, we got 3 minutes. Well, that's how we could do it, I guess. And then it's pretty. You know what? I wanted to talk about Dog. Dog might be the next free guy, because I've been wanting to talk about it for a month, and now it could go on another 2-3 months, and I still never get to talking about Dog. But
Dog? You are named after the dog?
How exciting was it that Ke Huy Quan meant as much to DY as we hoped he did?
Yeah.
Like, because obviously it means Harrison Ford. I mean, to really like the what Harrison Ford meant to us is what Ke Huy Quan meant to him. So really, it's like DY working with it's the equivalent of us working with Harrison Ford. You're just like, I don't know if I'd be here if it wasn't for you. I mean, it's like, why would I be doing any of this if it wasn't for you? That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that he said Temple of Doom is his favorite.
Steve Martin, that was one of the takeaways you get from his Born Standing Up book, right? It's like, be so good they can't not notice you. Is that it?
Right.
Something to that effect?
They can't ignore you. Be so good they can't ignore you.
That's what these guys are doing. I mean,
Right.
they're just out there killing it so much. It's like, come do something for our movie, please, you know. And so Hanuman will be the next one from the director of Ong Bak will be presenting that film. I assume that means a producer of some kind. And the whole Marshall Club is doing all the action design. You know, in Marvel, I know they teamed with a couple other people. They mentioned Brad and some other martial artists who were out there. But apparently Hanuman's going to be all Marshall Club all the time, which means it's going to be like just high energy, high flying craziness.
That's cool. And this new style. I mean, I really I loved him talking about the styles and that sort of stuff, because that's just such a fascination of like watching the various styles and everything. So I'm really curious to find out what the Khmer style is, you know?
Yeah.
I guess it's all Khmer. So.
Well, next week, what? You want to do your Moon Knight?
I want to assemble a panel of Moon Knight people. I'm going to reach out to some people that have talked about loving Moon Knight, because yes, Moon Knight premiered this week. My favorite superhero movie of all time. I mean, favorite superhero of all time, and something that I didn't even just not think I would never see a live action version of. I just knew I never would. I mean, it's just literally never going to happen. And we have now reached a point where Moon Knight is a TV show, and a damn good one, and it is using everything, all the potential, because you could just imagine Moon Knight coming out in 1995, right? You know, that you just, I don't like the idea that what Marvel does is to take the very concept of a superhero and go, well, what are the storytelling possibilities that we've never seen before that having that power then justifies, you know? And this one is just one of the ones where, you know, for my entire life, I'm just like, the possibilities of doing a Moon Knight, and, you know, knowing all along, like, they'd never do it right. Like, if they'd made Moon Knight the year after Blade, we know what Moon Knight would look like. You know, the storytelling, I love Blade, but you never go, the storytelling possibilities they've taken from that concept, you know?
Now, we love No Sudden Move. We talked about that. We're enjoying Brendan Fraser Renaissance there and on that DC show that he's on. Right. But that's who would have been Moon Knight in late 90s. And
yeah.
So we waited for Oscar Isaac because he's really good. And man, Ethan Hawke looks like he's going to kick ass in this too. He already is. So we'll get another episode of that under the belt. And then next week you can do a big Moon Knight panel.
Yeah. Are you gone next week, or are you part of the Moon Knight
I can make
panel?
half the show.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So I will. Moon Knight panel assemble.
And Adam, as ever, Kieran Lagabiru.
Kieran Lagabiru to you.
And awkward silence, and then finally...